Get Newcastle United FC updates directly to your inbox. Plus subscribe. Thank you for subscribing. Could not subscribe? Try again later. Invalid email. St. James Park has probably never seen anything like this. That Newcastle United can't possibly compete with Manchester City in their current guise is not exactly breaking news. But seeing the two sides up against each other in the flesh was a jarring experience, and not least because Rafa Benitez's tactics were as defensive as any United manager on home soil in recent memory. Newcastle is a proud club who were playing Champions League football fairly recently, but the current incarnation's ambitions do not extend beyond one thing: Premier League survival. To achieve that, Benitez prioritized the games against Brighton and Stoke, which will surely have more bearing on the final outcome of what is turning into a fairly attritional season. But it was the instructions that were delivered to his much-changed United side that were to be the talking point of a game that ended as the bookies, pundits and probably everyone inside a sold-out St. James Park expected it would. With the visitors winning, Benitez set up with 5 at the back, and the tactics were to defend deep, constrict the space, and try to frustrate and spoil Manchester City's millionaires. It is not what the outside world might expect a club of Newcastle's stature to do, but in the division within a division that the Premier League has become, it was perhaps an understandable tactic from a manager who knows that the club need to be realistic this season. Yes, Huddersfield came closer to taking something from this rampant Citizens side who will surely not lose all season, and so too did Southampton, who have been pretty wretched ever since. But Benitez's pragmatism, though tough to swallow, will be justified if Newcastle can take something from their next 2 games. It did not go down well with Sky's watching pundits. Gary Neville branded United's first 30 minutes the most negative he'd ever seen in the Premier League, while Jamie Carragher was moved to claim the Premier League was becoming a joke league because it was so uneven. No doubt they were expecting more from a club who were known in certain circles as the entertainers in an earlier Premier League era. But the resources available to the managers in the division now are making it difficult for anyone to touch the very best. We will see more days like this, and although Newcastle's negativity was under the spotlight last night, it is the way English football is going. Earlier in the day, Newcastle's divisional rivals Liverpool had spent £75 million on Virgil van Dijk, which is almost double what Benitez spent trying to upgrade a side that won the championship last summer. His best-case scenario is to get half of that this January to spend on 4 players. The debate about the future of the Premier League will be revisited, but Benitez maligned tactics for this one probably didn't he deserve to be treated with such scorn. It was difficult to watch Newcastle set out like that, but as they pressed in the final 10 minutes, just a goal behind rather than being out of the game, it felt like there was some sense to trying to stay in the match. Had Dwight Gale got the penalty he tried to win by diving or headed past Ederson from close, or had one of Jonjo Shelvey's free kicks landed on a black and white head in the penalty area, we would have been hailing a tactical masterclass. As it is, Benitez will face criticism for turning this into a strange spectacle of attack versus defense on his own patch. Whichever side of that divide you fall on, it's worth remembering that Benitez's tactics at Chelsea and Manchester United could hardly be described as ultra-defensive, and had Newcastle had a free week before their next critical fixture, you may have seen a very different side and a different strategy. As it was, they parked the bus for half an hour and were only undone by a Raheem Sterling goal. It's hardly an achievement, but as United pushed on in the final 10 minutes, Benitez's pragmatism made more sense. United need their manager's tactical noose to chip away at the Spaniards' 40-point safety total. This was an example of him trying to maximize the resources that he has. As a contest it was in equal measure bizarre, ridiculous and intriguing. But it was like nothing we have ever seen in recent times, with the first half effectively a glorified attack versus defense exercise for the side who will be crowned champions come May. Sergio Aguero, who has a habit of scoring against Newcastle, clipped the post, and Rob Elliott, on excellent form, tipped over the Argentinian's header as the visitors pressed almost relentlessly. At one point the possession stats made hair-raising reading as the visitors bossed 90% of the ball. Aside from Shelvey's effort from the halfway line straight from the kickoff, Newcastle were not in the business of testing Ederson, who was further forward in his own half than the most advanced Newcastle player. Raheem Sterling did break the deadlock when he rolled home just before the half-hour mark, but that was not the end of the contest. Newcastle maintained discipline and actually went close to leveling when Rolando Aarons, on his first start of the season, chipped over the goalkeeper but was denied by Nicolas Otamendi on the line. The debate raged at half-time about the state of Newcastle's tactics, but they were disciplined enough to stay in the game until a frantic final 10 minutes when they actually had the away side scared. Gale saw sight of goal and decided to go down rather than shoot, and then headed just wide from a Christian Atsu cross. The Ghana man, along with Mikel Merino, were lively enough on their cameos to suggest they can unpick Brighton. It would have summed up one of the strangest nights in St James Park history if Newcastle had nicked something.